A statement from the Board of Elders of New Life Church on the departure of Brady Boyd.
Before he stepped down, before the headlines, before the elders released that brutal statement, Brady Boyd had one last moment in the spotlight, a final chance to clear his name, to set the record straight, to tell his church, his people, that he never knew. I didn't know. No one told me. I would never protect a predator. That's what he said. He sat there, facing the congregation, not as a leader in control, but as a man trying to outrun a truth that was already catching up to him. This is the address that got applause in the room, but raised red flags everywhere else. Because the elders, they didn't applaud. They called him out. They said his words were inaccurate. And Julie Roys, she had the emails to prove it. So today, we're watching this moment, not to be moved, but to examine. Does this look like a man telling the whole truth, or one trying to hold on to the last shred of credibility? Let's break it down.
I've had a trying week, a difficult week, and I want to share that with you. The Tuesday night, I'm at home, and Pam started feeling kind of nauseous. Something was not right. She was not feeling great. So she went upstairs to lay down, and then finally she called me and said, "You need to come up to the room." So I got up to the room, and she was super nauseous, and she's like, I think I need to go to the ER just to get this checked. I don't know what's wrong with me. And then all of a sudden, she passed out in front of me. Turns out she just had a really severe case of nausea, which can cause, it's more common in females than males, but it causes women to pass out. And so we were there until midnight on Tuesday night. So I just want to say, it was really good care that they gave my wife. And we were back home on Tuesday. She's just now feeling better. In fact, she felt well enough this morning. She's going to fly down to Louisiana to check on her mom. So thank the Lord for Pam feeling better, but it was quite a Tuesday at my house. And then on Friday, an article came out, this investigative journalist, and I want to share this with you today. An article came out on Friday and made some really ugly accusations about me that kind of went national. And as your pastor, I want you to know something about me. When I stand here in front of you every Sunday, everything I tell you is the truth. I will never, ever tell something that's slanted or untrue. I'll never be manipulative toward you. I'll never tell you a half-truth. Let me tell you what the accusation was. 18 years ago, I was on staff at a church in Dallas-Fort Worth called Gateway Church. And the senior pastor there was Robert Morris. And during that time, Robert and I were great friends. He hired me. I worked alongside him, had no reason to believe that he had any kind of character issues. He did confide in me that he had had a moral failure when he was 20 years old. And that's really all the details that he shared. It was like 15 years before they had gone through a restoration process. And I didn't have any reason to doubt that. I never saw anything in his life that would lead me to believe that he was not a man of character. So when in August of 2007, the search committee of New Life Church, called me, little old me, to come be the pastor here at New Life Church. So Pam and I, we were in Louisiana at the time visiting our family. We packed up our car. Abram was 8 years old. Little Callie was 6 years old. They were just little babies. And we got in our car and drove for 2 days to come to Colorado. And on the 2-day drive to Colorado from Louisiana with our little kids, and we said to each other, I don't care about being a celebrity pastor, being well known. I don't care anything about that. I don't care if anybody ever remembers my name when I retire. I don't care. But what we do care about, deeply, sincerely, what we care about is that our church is healthy. But a year ago, next week, it came to light that Robert Morris had sexually assaulted a 12-year-old girl for 4 straight years. And it was shocking. It was mind-numbing. It was awful. It was evil. And he admitted to a 4-year relationship that started when he was 20 years old. The girl, Cindy Clemenshire, was 12 years old when the abuse started. And it happened for 4 years until he was 24 and she was 16. I didn't know that. Very few people knew that. In the process, though, of them interviewing me, the search committee was brought, the fact that Cindy Clemenshire was 12 years old, that was brought to their attention. They found out, they heard in an interview with a family member that Cindy was 12 years old. And they immediately called the elders at Gateway Church and told them. And the elders of Gateway Church said, we're aware of that. It's been handled. Her family, her pastor has given Robert a thumbs up. They've gone through a process of restoration, and there's nothing left to do. It's already been reported. But the search committee didn't tell me. And so I made Robert an overseer of the church. And I want to say something to you this morning. Knowing what I know now, I absolutely regret that. And I'm sorry that I ever gave confidence to a person that had an obvious evil thing happening in his life. That I just want to tell you, I'm so sorry that first of all, I did not know. But I would never, ever put a known pedophile in a place of authority in this church. Never would I ever do that to you, ever. I know right now there is an all-time low trust in institutions, and I think it's because it's not necessarily in what they did, it's how they tried to cover it up. So I'm telling you here today, I am not hiding anything for you. I'll always tell you the truth. And when I get new information, I will tell you I'll tell you everything I know. I will never hide. I don't have a PR firm waiting for me, behind stage to give me guidance today. I don't have a team of lawyers who are barking in my ear. This is Brady Boyd sitting on a stage telling you the truth this morning, and that's what it's going to be for the next 10 years. I'm going to stand on this stage and tell you the truth.
All right, now that we've heard Brady Boyd for ourselves, let's slow it down and take a real look at what just happened. This wasn't just a man apologizing. This was a carefully crafted defense, a final attempt to hold the narrative and the microphone just a little longer. From the start, Brady tries to ground the room in trust. He says, I never tell a half-truth, not, here's what I did, not, let me explain my role. No, he leads with character. That's strategic. It's not confession, it's preemptive damage control. Then he hits the line that everything hinges on, I didn't know. He repeats it multiple times, using phrases like, the search committee didn't tell me. I regret putting someone like that in a position of authority. I would never knowingly do that. But here's the problem, he wasn't just a bystander. He was on the elder board at Gateway Church in 2007, and Julie Roys, she dug up the receipts, the emails, the dates, the statements from Robert Morris himself. They clearly show Brady Boyd was in the loop when Robert confessed. These weren't rumors, they weren't vague accusations. These were direct communications, and Brady's name was on them. So when he says, I didn't know, what are we really hearing? Someone who forgot a child abuse confession, or someone trying to salvage what's left of his platform? And let's talk about this search committee didn't tell me line. Even if, and that's a big if, the committee didn't give him all the details during the New Life hiring process. Why didn't he speak up back then? He was already sitting on a known confession. He didn't need to be told. He was already told. That's the danger in this entire moment. It's not just about one man covering his tracks. It's about a church culture that has taught leaders how to dodge accountability. Brady's not just pleading ignorance. He's painting himself as a victim of incomplete information. But when you've been part of the machine, when you've seen the emails, when you've been in the rooms where decisions were made, you don't get to cry foul when the story comes back around. Now let's talk about what he didn't say. He didn't say, I saw those emails. He didn't say, I should have followed up. He didn't say, I knew there was something wrong and I didn't act. He said, I didn't know. And that's the safest thing he could say, because if he did know, then this isn't just a scandal, it's a cover-up. And the emotion, let's not ignore it. He did get emotional. You can see the stress, the trembling, the regret. But regret without full truth is still deception. It's just dressed up better. The applause from the room? Expected, because most people there haven't read the filings, they haven't seen the timeline, they don't know how deep this goes. But the elders, they knew. And they didn't applaud. They released a statement calling Brady's address inaccurate. That's not a small disagreement. That's a full public contradiction from the very men who once had his back. And that matters. Because when your own leadership, your inner circle, no longer trusts what you're saying, it's not just smoke, it's fire. So, let's be honest. Was this an apology or a performance? Because if the core of your confession is a lie, then the tears don't matter, the sorrow doesn't matter, the applause doesn't matter, the truth matters. And in this case, the truth was already on paper long before Brady ever sat in that chair. And here's what really makes this so heavy. Brady Boyd wasn't just some disconnected overseer. He wasn't a guest in the Gateway system. He was part of it. He had access, he had influence, he had authority. So this isn't just about what he didn't say in 2025. It's about what he didn't say in 2007, when he could have stood up, could have asked questions, could have protected someone like Cindy Clemisher. And now, he sits in front of a church and with the weight of all that silence behind him and says, I didn't know. But the paper trail says otherwise, the elders say otherwise, and deep down, I think even he knows. Otherwise, this moment, it wasn't accountability, it was an attempt to exit quietly with just enough applause to drown out the facts. But truth doesn't get quieter when you clap, it gets louder when the receipts show up. And Julie Roys showed up with receipts no one could ignore. You just heard Brady Boyd in his own words, you saw the emotion, you heard the denial, and now you've seen what's underneath it. This isn't just about one man trying to protect his legacy, it's about how far leaders will go to rewrite history, even when the truth is already documented. What we saw wasn't accountability, it was damage control. And it might have worked, if the receipts didn't exist, if the emails never surfaced, if Julie Roys hadn't pulled the mask off. But they do. And she did. And now, every carefully crafted sentence, every emotional plea, every tear, it all has to be weighed against the truth. So you tell me, was this a broken man finally confessing, or was it the final act of a long performance? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What did you see? What stood out? And do you believe him? If this opened your eyes, hit that like button, share it, because silence is what lets this happen again. Stay tuned. This story isn't over, and we're not done asking the hard questions.